I was brought up in different societies, among different cultures in different countries from a very young age. That helped me a lot to understand the human aspect of every culture, religion, race, etc. And I suppose that's why the global gypsy comes into picture, because though my roots are from India, in fact, I'm a South Indian Brahmin. My father left for Afghanistan many, many years ago. We were very young, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and he was at those days working with the exchange program that India had. And then we joined him, and from there he's been working in Iran, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Iraq, and Indonesia. So yeah, so that's where the journey started, and it continues throughout the globe. I think the first and foremost was that you are a human. Right from a very young age, when you're bombarded with 3 different religions and cultures every single day growing up, you start questioning which one is right and which one is not. And then you understand that the fundamental message that every religion and culture has is the same. So to explain that, I'm born a Hindu Brahmin from a South Indian Brahmin family. Lived most of my childhood in Afghanistan, which is a predominantly Islamic country. And in Afghanistan, those days we had schools run by Italian missionaries, German missionaries, etc. And I was in an Italian school run by a Catholic missionary organization. And surprisingly, Sunday Mass was compulsory, and you had these Christmas carols and the Bible being taught, and etc. So every single day, like I said, you are looking at the teachings or messages of 3 different religions, because being in a country, your friends are mostly from that country. They're Afghans, Islam, from the Islamic background. And you sort of understand their traditions, cultures, because you visit their houses often. So, and at home you have the Gayatri Mantra playing every single day in the morning. I don't know where I read this saying. It said that medicine, science, engineering, architecture, business, these are all extremely important and necessary to sustain life. But art, music, poetry, love, theater, romance, these are what we stay alive for. Is that right?
Yeah, very well.
So, because the reason, I think art is, it could be any form. It could be painting, it could be music, it could be dance, it could be theater. These are things that are unfiltered, right? It brings out the real core in you. I mean, you are exploring your talent, your aptitude, the thing you love to do most to the utmost. And then the joy you experience, I think, in my opinion, is something unparalleled. So when I was very young, of course, living in Afghanistan, I think maybe 9 years old, or approximately that time, I think for my birthday, somebody gifted me a packet of oil paints, that tiny little thing with 12 paints and a thin brush. I was lying for a couple of months, and then I asked my father that, can I buy some brushes and canvas, because I want to try and paint. And coming from a South Indian family, however, progressive he was, this is something he did not want to do. He says, come on, why do you want to waste money on that? So anyway, I didn't want to waste the colors, so I picked up certain butter knives from the kitchen and started painting on cardboard sheets that we had at home, because We used to get wood in large cardboard cartons. It was very cold in Afghanistan, and we had a fireplace, right? So, and I think over time, I started loving the texture. It was a long trial and error, and I love the texture of painting with knives. Gives you a freedom to do whatever you want, you know. And initially I used to paint with butter knives and blades. Now you have palette knives of every single, you know, shape and size and form, so it's easier. I use only oils. It's a raw, textured look. I love it. Film production was by accident. I don't know if you know that I have a charity trust called Healing Lives. Primarily, we were focusing on education, agriculture, medical, healthcare, and things. We would work in Africa, India, with the local NGOs there. So people knew that I was charitable by nature. I think they just misunderstood the fine print that I wasn't charitable to films. But anyway, having said that, a friend of mine said that she called me up. She says, there is a director, a very talented director in Bombay who is unable to finish his film because, you know, he's run out of funds. Can you step in? And that was my first film, I think about 7 years ago, I can't remember. Mm-hmm. It's an Assamese film called Rainbow Fields. And I said, look, I'm not into films. It doesn't. She says, no, the message is really good. It's about the impact of riots and chaos in a society on children. Mm-hmm. And, you know, would you like to, have a look at the raw, print? I said, yeah, okay, send it to me. And then I saw it and I said, yeah, somewhere it sort of exactly. It struck a chord. Because of Afghanistan and you know what it's been going through. And I said, yes, why not? And from there, one led to another. And I think every independent filmmaker in India now probably knows that if they're stuck, they can reach me. It seems I get a script almost every week.
So how many films have you supported so far?
4 films so far. I have 3 feature films and 1 documentary, and the 5th one is currently just finished shooting. What are the names?
Yeah.
The first one is Rainbow Fields, which is Khoe Khobote Demalite in Assamese. The second one is Boro, also from Assam. It's called Julai. The third one is Gorai Pakri, or Wild Swans. The 4th one is a documentary called Andro Dreams from Manipur. It's about an old lady called Laibi who has started a football club for girls to sort of give them a purpose to stop, teenage marriages. I think the charitable seed was planted in my childhood by my father because he was an extremely charitable person. And to the extent some of his relatives, including his own wife, my mother, would call him foolish. So he's always taught us the importance of privilege and how to share it. Because he says, your privilege, your success means nothing if you can't share a little bit of what has been given to you. And one thing he said was something that resonates with me even today. He says, look, Jani, there may be, and of course it sort of irritates you in the beginning, because he said, there are far more talented, far more capable, far more intelligent girls out there, more than you are. But they do not have the platform or the privilege or the luck, in other words, to have so much opportunity to explore and show your talent. He says, this doesn't make you any better. I mean, and he was always right from the time we started understanding sentences, he would inculcate this in us. And from then on, Sharmila, I have been very, very cautious, very, very aware of my privilege, and also aware that it is transitional, right? I mean, what is more pitiable than a human being who has the intelligence, the knowledge, the education, and the privilege, yet unable to understand that it is transitional and whatever you can share perhaps gives you much more permanent, I wouldn't say permanent, much more depth of joy than hoarding it for yourself, right? So I think the more I give, I've realized that the more joy it gives me. And that's a cliche, it sounds cliche, but it's true. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in villages every 2 months of my life, visiting villages and people. So we give scholarships for universities. So we started in Kenya with partnering with the University of Nairobi. And we found out that there are a lot of young boys and girls who are brilliant, who have the aptitude to become doctors, but they do not have the funds to pay for the fees. So the local NGO called Action Care in Kenya came to us and said, why don't you, and I asked them, I said, we'd like to do something in education, give us some ideas. And this is when they came with a list of people. And these young boys and girls, I'll tell you how it is. They get admission into the university, and for admission, you just have to pay a few $100s and you can get admission. So they borrow from neighbors, friends, families. But when it comes to giving exams after the first 6 months, they need the student ID. And that ID you can only get when you pay the fees. And a lot of them would have to drop out or, let's say take a break for a couple of years and come back. So we realized that they already have the passion, the perseverance, and the aptitude, and why not step in and help them? So now we have around 9 doctors from Kenya, boys and girls, who have all graduated. Last year was the last. And they all call us, they call me mom. It's a nice, you have these 27, 28-year-olds, and they're very, very close to me. So again, I make it very clear that it is not a stranger or an organization just paying your fees and running out. No. We have WhatsApp groups and we have mailing groups where I like to know what they do, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. They talk to me, they take my advice. So there is, Emily is the only girl, unfortunately, but I hope we get more girls too. She's a doctor doing her pediatric. She's now practicing pediatrics. She wants to do surgery and study more. There is
in Kenya?
all of them in Kenya. One of the boys called Brian, he is in Brazil because he's brilliant. So he was sent by the government on an exchange program. They've all completed. Alan just completed last year. Yasin just completed last year as well. So it's nice to see that these kids have now something, and they know that the only way I want them to appreciate their privilege, I wouldn't say repay me back because I don't do it for repayment at all, is that they need to help someone in trouble as much as they can. And they would, and they pay it forward also is a very loose term. I just want them to be able to understand that somebody, the universe, if you don't want to call it God, has sent someone to help you when you are desperately in need. So be that same messenger, that same angel, exactly, to somebody else when they need. And I'm very happy to say that they all continue to do it now, a couple of years ago, I just published a book of short stories and poems. And again, I'm going to give you a copy. Please do read it. Now, each story is set in different parts of the world and has a small message. It's not moralistic or anything, message. But in the first poem, there is one paragraph that encompasses humanitarian desires and vanity. And I'm going to tell that paragraph now. In the pursuit of eminence, the grandiose of nothingness, we are but scavengers seeking acceptance, right? And unfortunately or fortunately, we have become a society in any part of the world, I'm not signaling the West or East or Middle East or whatever, we've become a society feeding off on momentary pleasures and passions. We've become a society thriving off on excesses and greed. And increasingly, we're becoming a society that is desensitized and dehumanized. Yeah, it's like I've lived few lives in one lifetime. Completely. I was in a high fashion industry, working in Indonesia for a manufacturing unit that used to manufacture for brands like Ralph Lauren. And I was deputed to Amsterdam to set up an office there to handle East Europe, where Moscow and East Europe was just budding and emerging those days. And yes, I have worked in brand building, brand development, and then I was working here for Al Futtaim, working here for Rivoli, Mont Blanc, and then I started brands at the Landmark Group for Baby Shop. I think most of the brands there called Juniors, Giggles. We started it. I think 20 years ago. So I know that every phase of our life you learn. Maybe you're young, when you're in your 20s, you're young, inexperienced, you do not understand the impact of your decisions. And yes, the corporate life has taught me a lot. And I think it has exposed me, it has also given exposure to various aspects of lives globally, right? Where I have traveled a lot, I have understood from the manufacturing to the retail end of it. And then it comes full circle, Sharmila. I think life comes full circle because you educate yourself, you work because that is what you are, I think, automatically imbibed to do, or influenced to do, and then you realize that, okay, what am I doing all this for? What is the end result? A couple of decades left of your life. Do you really want to continue to live mindlessly and meaninglessly without making an impact to even a few people around you?
And as a mom, you mentioned
19-year-old, yes.
And one daughter?
Yes. She's 19. She is studying in Florence, Italy.
Wow.
She's also doing, from the University of Marangoni, brand strategy. I did not really push her. She's actually a ballroom dancer, so she competes, internationally. I have no idea why she went to do that, but she's really good, and she's won many gold medals so far from UK and Italy and Vienna. So her dream and goal is to compete in the international championship under 21. So that's where she's training and studying at the same time. So her coaches are in Florence. It's Jonathan Jagtiani. He is, of course, the founder of Home Center. And he also left active corporate life, let's say. And I think he contributes in many ways to the foundation. It would be impossible otherwise to do it single-handedly. The foundation is a family foundation. We do not take donations or any sort of donations from anyone other than our own family. And we, like I said, we are, I'm on the board of the Moran Blind School in Assam.
Sorry, the name of the school again?
Moran, Moran, Blind School. It's in Dibrugarh, Assam. It's originally started by, it's started by Mr. Victor Banerjee. And then I joined him to help. So it's a trust as well. There are many trustees on it, and I'm one of the trustees. I'm on the board of the IBFF as well, which is the Indian Blind Football Federation. So this is, again, one of the causes that Healing Lives promotes. It's, in fact, the Indian blind football has come leaps and bounds in the last 7, 8 years. We are now, the girls' football team is second in the world, and the boys was 15th. And we're now being invited to play in Russia, in Mexico, in UK, and Japan. The girls are in Japan as we speak. So this is really, I think, a great achievement for us. And as far as the projects are concerned, we work we work directly, not through any other agencies. Some places where we have challenges, we do, support the local NGOs there. In Uttar Pradesh, we started working, especially in Bundelkhand, we started working about 8, 9 years ago. We build water retention bodies, Sharmila, because I think drought was the biggest problem there. So we picked 5 villages and we started digging water dams, or talab they call it, where the monsoon water, the 3 months of monsoon, were collected. And these are large dam type of structures. And the rest of the 6, 7 months, they could use this water to irrigation, agriculture, and the animals. Of course, it wasn't for human consumption. So we have built around 5 of these talabs. During summer, we give them, it's a lot of daily help. We give them fresh water, trucks of fresh water to the villages so that at least their daily needs are met. We have we did something called kitchen farming, which is at least have your own kitchen garden to sustain your own family, if nothing else. We started drip irrigation, mulching. We have a farmers training center where the local farming experts teach the local farmers on the best ways to utilize the limited water supply that they have. This is in Uttar Pradesh. In Maharashtra, we are working again in agriculture. We work with Rahibai Popade. She's a Padma Shri. She's a tribal lady who won the Padma Shri for her very ingenious, unique way of saving and preserving seeds. So seed bank we have with her. We, in fact, donated a tractor to her as well, Rahibai Popade. We work a lot with schools where we give students school bags and school kits, basically, stationery, books, school bags, kits. And this is twice a year, and we work with, I don't know if you've heard of Sindhutai Sabkal, her orphanage. She's not there anymore, but her daughter runs it. Mamta. Sindhutai Sabkal is one of the pioneers in Maharashtra of building schools for orphans. You have a look at what she has done. She had, for both boys and girls, she's adopted more than 2,000-3,000 children and given them a home and education. So we work with that orphanage.